AKAPADers, here we go. Let's scoot up here. Hey. We're just hanging out here on Mark Silvestri's TV. I wonder what he's drawing. If you're new here, if you're not familiar with what happens here on Tuesdays, and sometimes a day later, welcome to Top Cow Tuesday. AKAPADers, I love you guys so much. Subscribe, support, leave a comment, give me a flex, rock and roll. I've been delaying on doing this because I don't know how to approach some of the Wildstorm adjacent work or the alumni work, but I had to just bring this one to you guys. I want to just go through David Finch's Ultimatum, the miniseries, because it's one of the best it's just one of the best illustrated comics. The inking, I'm so in love with the inking. I love his detail. I love his shadows. I even love the story because the story is so hardcore. AKAPADers, Wildstorm alumni, David Finch, working for Marvel on the Ultimate line, on essentially the end of the Ultimate Universe. It was never this good again. It was never really returned. Sorry, anyone reading those current books. I just want to, give our eyeballs something to love, because these books, they're just always floating around me. I always keep them in my bag. I just love looking at it. I really do. And I get it. People argue about the read, but sometimes on this channel, we split it, and we just focus on the artwork. So let's do that. Here we go, AKAPADers. So here's Ultimatum, issues 1 through 5. The end of the Ultimate Universe. I love end of times stories. I always said, look, AKAPADers, X-Men 3, X3. I freaking put that movie on a lot. I love that movie because it makes big bets in ending the franchise. I always say too, the Lord of the Rings, I get it. We all know the gospel. But the Lord of the Rings, people were expecting individuals to die in that last movie, in Return of the King. Somewhat disappointing they didn't. I get it though. Oscar-winning movie, all these other things. This is great. Now, what happens after Ultimatum, it's highly contentious, and none of it really works. At this point, Marvel had figured out ways to spin and make the X-Men way cooler than they ever were. They did the same with the Ultimates, aka the Avengers. The villains are straight up villains in the Ultimate Universe. They actually brought back and did amazing things with Fantastic Four and Ender's Game. You like Ender's Game? The guy behind Ender's Game, he's the one that brought the true history and character into the Ultimate Iron Man. A lot of talent came through this imprint. Maybe the most talent in comic book history for imprint. But this is relatively the end of the Ultimate Universe. And Jeff Loeb brought it in. Now, Jeff Loeb's involvement with the Ultimates comes with Ultimates 3. Ultimates 1 and 2. The whole industry was at a high coming off Ultimates 2. So we bring in Ultimates 3. We bring back Joe Mad. We get this Death of Scarlet Witch story, which is Jeff Loeb killing the Scarlet Witch, and then having that be the catalyst to Magneto going crazy. The death of the Scarlet Witch equaling the death, essentially, of a Marvel universe is somewhat of a trope now, because we saw this in House of M, and we're seeing it unfold now in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. I'm okay with that. And it's a fun idea to play with. Mark Miller and Brian Hicks, that was the talent behind the Ultimates. Joe Mad and crew, they bring in more of a comic book flavor. But it's okay, because we're kind of dealing with the end. So we go from Ultimates 3 and we bring in some Top Cal alumni. Before we go further, these books are around my drawing table. The other Top Cal book, that's Team Top Cal, that's always floating around my drawing table, is Grant Morrison, Mark Silvestri, New X-Men, Volume 7. It's Mark Silvestri's work on these issues. I put this over Days of Future Past any day of the week. This is such a more robust, better story. Big ideas, really cool stuff. But I love the presentation of these pages of this book. I just dig how he does backgrounds and shows layers. But this is a culmination, right? Like, this is Studio Top Cal working with Marvel. So David Finch, he breaks off. And let's just kind of start flipping through this. I don't want to get too into... Again, I don't want to get detailed about the story and what happens. This book, this run here, is so highly criticized. It's depressing if you were to YouTube it and you see what returns. But here, like, we're just looking at the amazing shot of New York City here. Look at these shadows. Look at this bus. Look at the people in the street. Dave Finch, kind of like, he sometimes doesn't eyeball profiles very well. He's not great. Maybe that's Brian Michael Bendis too over here. I mean, he's got back and forth with some of his faces, but look at his establishing shots. Like, look at this. How does this not get your rocks off? And we're not even to the action yet. So Magneto changes the polarities of the Earth. Everything floods. And here we go. All systems are go. Yeah. But we get Giant Man looking for the Wasp. Peter Parker suited up, going through the city. And some of the detail that I was talking about. Just see, I don't know if you guys can really see. This is, I mean, the chainmail for Cap's armor. The Danny Mickey, like, he does this, like, very subtle, like, cross-hatching here. And the more we get into this series, the more we see of it, though. Some of the coloring, we're losing the detail we can see with Ben Grimm's rocks. Reed Richards goes one-to-one with Namor. But again, look at the texturing for that skin and that belt. Again, see some of that Danny Mickey cross-hatching. And here too, see, it's like thick to thin. This is a little bit where, you know, you have to find ways to look at comics. Thor's hammer. Again, just look at the asteroid M. Look at that design work, though. Next, it gets worse. And things get pretty wild here. New York City flooded. The Ultimates have a whole line of giant men. They, you know, basically have a squad of them. Look at the veins for Hulk. And it's beyond me, again, to look at that texture. It's beyond me where individuals can attack a work. And they cannot be critical over, like, what they're looking at, nor understand how difficult some of it is. Like, I love the contour shading here for Doctor Doom's I don't know what this part of his costume is called. His little skirt. His supervillain skirt. But see how it just like, you know, like it dips, it curves. Statue of Liberty. Hela. Again, Ultimate Hela is red, not green. Here we go. Look at this texture for that sword. Sometimes, like, you want to know why things hover around the drawing table. I don't think a lot of artists, a lot of illustrators are good with explaining that. Here we go. The blob and the wasp. So, but see, this is what's wild to me. See, like that heavy dark, and then he splits the cross hatching on both sides to really create this, like, you know, if you're a colorist, you see this, you see the breakup on the boobies and the breakup here on the deltoid. Like, this is your opportunity to add like a glow or like a highlight or like some type of reflection. When you illustrate, even here, like on the leg, when you illustrate, these are the things you imagine, you know, in your mind's eye. Here you go, too. Like, just love the detail around that eyelid. It doesn't have to be a Top Cow book for you to realize the height of Top Cow. And this is such a wild story. But yeah, but look, the giant man, here you go. He finds he finds the blob. The blob's been eating the wasp, and he just bites off the blob's head right here and spits it out. And look at that pose. Great pose here for Hawkeye. Wolverine finds Nightcrawlers. A lot of this is self-explanatory. Ultimates are in hell. X-Men are in New York. Here you go. We got nice eyeball shot here for Multiple Man. Like, everyone's broken on these different fronts, and the X-Men are making their way. I mean, look at this explosion. Explosions are one of the things every single artist, every single illustrator cheapens explosions when it comes to drawing comics, because you literally can spend hours on it. But this one is so exact, very dead on. Yeah, in the story, it's like we have one side making their way to Magneto, and the other side making their way to Magneto. Here we go. Avengers Assemble. Again, look at that texture on that belt buckle. It doesn't have to be a Top Cow book for you to appreciate Top Cow Productions. David Finch got his tutelage. He cut his teeth. Look at Dormammu. Doctor Strange coming. I mean, even that coloring. Yeah, and Dormammu just, yeah, takes out Doctor Strange in a couple seconds, explodes his head, tosses him to the side. Hulk, Wolverine. Not quite of a matchup. Doctor Doom offers his help. Wolverine says his goodbye. They're on a suicide mission. We have Sabretooth flat out eating, ripping apart Angel. And David Finch through Ascension. That's also a Top Cow book. David Finch in Ascension drew the best comic book wings, and some of that comes through right here. Again, comic book wings is just, I mean, look at, just now hanging out with you guys, looking at Sabretooth's hair. But yeah, David Finch, he spent hours and months drawing wings for Ascension, comes through here. Wings is something a lot of comic book artists go cheap on. Again, look at that texture here. Great design work. So much of this stems from Ultimates 3. This essentially would be, like, you can argue this is Ultimates 4 with X-Men. And final issue here. I mean, again, though, look at, see the little bits of Wolverine's hair that come over the contour line. Yeah, Wolverine versus Magneto, and and Wolverine. Here we go. Just nukes them, gets them. I mean, look at that smoke though. That's very stylized. So Wolverine dies in this. Spider-Man dies. We get Miles Morales through this event. Cyclops just blows off his head. Again, sometimes Finch has trouble with expressions and profiles. But again, though, like, look at the quilted pattern for the throne here. And look at that detail, the detail of the relief. It's just the concrete, the texture, just the aged rock. And too, like, everything's these archways that we see in the beginning. Or in the previous issue. Right? So if we go to issue 4, like these archways. I mean, it's so well put together. It's, you know, the reflections of the reliefs of the stained glass on the floor here. But everyone dies in Ultimatum. Cyclops, look, gets assassinated at the end. Dr. Doom gets pawed by the thing, gets tracked down. But look at everything around here. Just Doom just lays in on him. And just that torn fabric. It just looks too good. Quicksilver with Magneto's helmet. You know, they don't do much with that, but look at that cabin. You guys can see, let's focus just a little bit. I don't know, AKA powders. People trash that, and they never bring enough attention to Here Comes Tomorrow. Again, like the texturing. David Finch, really, the way how he came out of Top Cow, I was always upset that he left Marvel and got that exclusive deal with DC. I always hated it. To me, David Finch's style is a Marvel style. It's not a DC style. But, you know, DC, like when you get a exclusive, you have to take it. You have to take it. And this might have been a poster. I think this may have been like an interconnected poster, or like even like a print from maybe Dynamic Entertainment. Maybe the guys in Jersey put it all together. But this is a variant cover, so 4. So we don't get. And honestly, I don't know who's on the cover for 4. Really good stuff, guys. Really good stuff.